Hello, everybody. It is Monday. How we doing tonight? Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. How's everybody doing? How are you this Monday night? Monday. It's a Monday fun day. How are you tonight on Monday? What are you guys grateful for this Monday night as we get going with the new week? Hey, Adele and Dazzle are here. Hello, Kitty. How you guys doing tonight? What is happening on your Monday? Nebraska Angie. What you all grateful for, folks? What are we all grateful for tonight? Tell me about it. I want to know. I want to know what you, and yeah, especially you are grateful for this Monday night as we kick off this week 45-46. 45-46 we're kicking it off. Grateful for your fireplace. It is a cold day, Kitty. It is cold out there. It is cold. It was chilly this morning and this evening. Cassandra was glad I warmed up the car before we left work tonight. But yes, absolutely, it was cold. So that is a definite one. I haven't had the fireplace on, but not a bad idea with how cold it is out there. Waiting for the snow to start. Well, you know, that I did say, well, gee whiz, at least if we get some of the snow they're talking about this week, it will have to warm up for it to snow. So I did say that. I did say that tonight. Because people are worried that we might get a little bit of snow. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be a dusting if we get anything. A blizzard in Nebraska? Yuck. You can keep it, Angie. Sorry, but you can keep it. You're escaping to Florida soon, so I'm not feeling bad there for you that you have a little bit of a snow blizzard. Ooh, I don't like the ice, Kitty. I don't like the ice. Don't like the ice. But I'm grateful to have all of you here today on this Monday night. On this Monday night as we get going this week. Let's get started with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book is how we get going every night. Tonight we're on page 112. Good morning, rise and shine, or rise and sulk, or rise and weep, or rise and roar, but rise. That is our good morning. Rose, rubbing in the nice weather. 80 in Daytona. Now, there's a song about that, but it's 80 in Daytona. Ooh, 6 inches tonight. Yuck. Yuck, Adele, you can keep it. I like that we have nothing on the ground right now. That I do like. Excuse me. I do like that. But you know, inevitably we're going to get some snow. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with our clearance, our progressive clearance. But you know, it is part of the mix here. Snow is part of the mix. That's when you live in the northern states. I like this quote today. There are on pink paper. Dell's gonna like that on pink paper today. There are 2 types of decisions: good decisions and lessons learned. Lessons learned. You know, I say that all the time. You know how important it is to constantly be learning and learning from what didn't work and one of the things in this pandemic is we've learned what doesn't work faster. We keep on trying different things. We keep on working towards different things. And it's, cutting the things that don't work faster. And a lot of you have been really good at that as we moved along. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Rose, that the customers were all on the beach. Yeah, we've had some sunshine and nice day. You're right, Kitty. It is this cold. I don't like the bone chilling cold. I guess is the way I look at it. But it is part of the Northeast. But we're this much closer to spring. I look at it this way. We're this much. I don't know how many days we are from spring yet. I'll look that up. But we're getting closer and closer to spring. This late January snow, February snow. It puts us that much closer to spring. So I'm okay with that. We're only a little over a week away to the groundhog. Comes and makes its proclamation of hopefully an early spring. Okay, is what we hope for. About 8 weeks, right. Hey, Sylvia, great to have you here. Great to have you here. I liked this too. So this was an interview with the president of Saks Fifth Avenue, and talking about evolving and all the changes they're dealing with and what they're working through in business, which is the same thing we're all working through, and all the changes and all the different things that are happening in our world. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Great to catch up with Brad for a little bit this afternoon or evening or whenever I talk to him. Saks isn't calling it the new normal, or they aren't even calling it change. They're calling it the next normal. Is the phrase they've adopted in their corporate culture. The next normal. And I've said it a different way before, where we're going to go through a series of new normals. This isn't the normal that's going to stick, but we're going through a series of new normals. So, and Saks calls it the next normal because it's going to be ever changing. And isn't that the truth? It is going to be ever changing. Aha! I thought you were going to... hey. Whoa, something just happened on my feed here. Facebook's being all kinds of wonky tonight. Hang on a second here. There I am. Hey, Suzanne and MJ, great to have you here tonight. 54 days. That's less than 60. That's less than 60. Look at that, people. 54 days till spring. And did Google consult with the groundhog? Did the groundhog and 62 days till daylight savings time? This is all good stuff. It's like the show was writing itself. But did any of that consult with the groundhog? But I would love that. I love a early spring. I love the spring. I love the rebirth of the bulbs starting to pop outside and just everything coming together. It is a wonderful thing. It is absolutely wonderful when we're able to do that. Okay, so I promised you tonight we'd talk about... Hey, Molly's with us. Great to have you here, Molly. Hang on a second. I like this too. So hang on, I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to read you. Okay, now we're getting a little too exact there, Adele, but I appreciate that. I appreciate you reaching out to Google that to find that out. Nothing succeeds like success, or does it? Peter Drucker claims that success makes obsolete the very behavior that achieved it. Think about that. Success makes obsolete the very behavior that achieved it. In other words, the behaviors that led to our current success will not necessarily take us to the next level, won't help you level up. That's a difficult idea to accept because we like to stay with what has worked in the past, and no one wants to argue with success. The truth is that we need to continually adjust our products and services, and sometimes even our business model, based on a rapidly changing world. If we let success lull us into a false sense of security, we make the same mistake that led to the demise of the coal industry and the railroads. They both thought they were indispensable and took their dominant position for granted. They saw no need to innovate. As a result, both failed to develop a vision for the future, robust enough to adapt to changing circumstances. Drucker emphasizes the need to ask again and again, what is our business? One successful video distribution company answered that question too narrowly and met with failure. As a result, Blockbuster was once a $3 billion company, and only a decade later it filed for bankruptcy under $900 million in debt. The problem wasn't that people stopped watching movies. The problem was that Blockbuster's delivery model failed to evolve. In 1997, Reed Hastings and Mark Randolph hit on the idea of renting DVDs through the mail, and Netflix became the next big trend in video distribution. Unlike Blockbuster, Netflix has kept pace with the changing landscape, developing the leading digital streaming platform online and successfully producing their own content. In 23 years, Netflix has grown into a $194 billion company. Regardless of current market share, no business can afford to stop evolving and responding to the changing marketplace. How might changes in society, technology, demographics, or other market forces impact your industry over the next 3 to 5 years? Broadening your definition of your market, for example, from DVD distribution to entertainment, can give you the flexibility to respond to changes. The Greek philosopher Hercules said, "Change is the only constant. With vision and discipline, you can create a plan that is both strong and flexible enough to capture the next great opportunities that change will inevitably bring." So think about that. How we continue to evolve is so important, okay? That success does not breed success, okay? That what got you here will not get you there, okay? It's part of leveling up, okay? It's part of working with people and mentors that are ahead of you and people that are behind you. So you're pulling each other up the ladder. Hey, Joanne, great to have you here. Great to have you here on this chilly evening. We're all cold tonight. But it's only 54 days, 6 hours, and about 53 minutes until spring. So hang in there. Hang in there. Okay. So, what do we got going on tonight? What did I promise you tonight? I promised you that I would talk about 2021 a little bit. So we have talked about we've talked about the PPP, and I know many of you are getting your PPP approvals over the last couple days. Some of you got it and signed paperwork today, which is very exciting. I'm very excited for you. Hey, Kim, but you're working on it. That's what matters, is that you're working on it. As long as you're working on it, you'll level up, okay? Sometimes those levels, just like in playing Candy Crush or Farmville or whatever games people play these days, okay? You need a different skill to get to the next level, and you're leveling up. You are working at it, and that is how you level up. That is how you level up. You invest in you. You invest in you and your education and making a difference, not doing the same old, and you guys are awesome at that. Hey, Kathy signed her PPP today. So let's talk about that. Not Kathy's PPP. Not specifically Kathy's PPP. But we have talked about the PPP and getting the PPP. We have talked about the employee retention tax credit, okay? And getting the employee retention tax credit, which is so vital, especially if you are in most of the northern states, but it does vary, are eligible for the employee retention tax credit. The employee retention tax credit, remember, in 2020, you're able to get that if you are down in a quarter, 50% in sales, or you are under a government restriction, which is restricting the way in which you operate your business, such as reducing the hours that you're able to be open or reducing the occupancy level for your store, are two good examples. Masks don't count, okay, as an inability. If you're just under a mask mandate in your town, that does not count on restricting your business operations. But if you can do that, you can get the employee retention tax credit in 2020, which is half back on the first $10,000 in wages in the second, third, and fourth quarter per employee, okay, that was not spent with PPP funds. So really exciting, and I think a lot of you have really sunk into that. I've had many questions about that in your specific questions on dating and such with your situation, and we've been working through that, and that's really exciting. I'm excited for you. It is real money. But many parts of the country can at least get that for a quarter. Remember, the biggest part of this, because this is where it gets into the new PPP and the old PPP, is you can redo, as long as you have not applied for forgiveness, you can adjust your PPP spend to hit the 60% on payroll, 40% on other allowable costs, so that you can maximize the number of weeks you can take advantage of the employee retention tax credit. You just can't double dip for the same payrolls, okay? But you can shorten up the time period that you thought you used your PPP. You can recalculate. Like your GPS in the car, when you make a wrong turn, you can recalculate. The government changed the rules. You can recalculate. So that is the 2020 rules, and we've really talked a lot about that. I'm happy to answer questions on that, but we've really talked a lot about it. So let's now talk about the 2021 rules so that you can plan your new PPP. Because many of you, like Kathy in Connecticut, okay, who is still under occupancy restrictions in Connecticut. Hey, Kelly, great to have you with us, okay? And such, like in Massachusetts where I am, or my stores are. I'm in Connecticut right now. But where my stores are under a 25% occupancy limit right now. In 2021, so the credit, the employee retention tax credit in 2020 was for the second, third, and fourth quarter of the year, okay? In cumulative, the most you could get from back on any one employee is $5,000, so half of $10,000 on 3 quarters of the year. In 2020, the credit changes. So there are still two caveats, two choices of what allows you to get the credit. You are allowed to get the credit if your sales are down in the quarter versus 2019. Again, 2019 is the base year. You are allowed to get the credit if your sales in 2021 are down 20% or more versus the same quarter in 2019. Okay? That's one criteria in which you can get it. The other is the same as in 2020, where you're able to get the credit if you are following a government restriction of reduction in your business, okay? So that you are required to be at 25% occupancy, like we are required to be at 25% occupancy right now. If you have to operate under reduced hours, any of those types of things would qualify you to claim the employee retention tax credit, as long as you are not using PPP money during the same period, okay, for the same purpose. So you can have PPP money, okay, during the first quarter, like so many of you are getting it right now at the end of January. You could have had a couple of payrolls already in January that you're able to claim the employee retention tax credit on. You can also have at the end of it, okay, I haven't counted out the weeks, but you have a minimum of 8 weeks to use the PPP, but you can hit the payroll portion in, let's say, 6 weeks, and then use the rest for other allowable expenses such as rent, utilities, things of that nature, and then continue to claim the employee retention tax credit. But the great thing about the employee retention tax credit in 2021 is it got better. Better? Say it ain't so, Neil. How could it get better? In 2021, the credit is per quarter instead of for the whole year. So the credit is per quarter. And it is 70% of the first $10,000 per employee per quarter. So you can get up to $7,000 back on $10,000 in payroll, gross payroll, and health insurance expense per employee per quarter for the first half of 2021 is the way the legislation works right now, if you are eligible. And if you are in a state like Illinois, like Virginia, like Massachusetts, like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. I mean, there are the number of states that you can claim this in is pretty large, especially in the northern half of the country. Okay, where there are restrictions in place that restrict your ability to operate, even if your sales aren't down dramatically. Even if your sales are up, you're still allowed to claim it if you are under government restriction. Just because you have pivoted, just because you are doing more lives or selling more online to make up for things doesn't disqualify you from claiming this credit. Okay? And the money can add up quite substantially. So that is where it is to your advantage as you are getting your PPP. Because the PPP, for those of you getting a second PPP, your spend date starts on the day it gets deposited. So your count of the minimum of 8 week period starts on the day it gets deposited. So working our way forward with this, okay, you really want to be working and planning this out very strategically so you can still claim the credit. This is gross pay, Kitty. So this is the employee retention credit is based on gross pay plus employer paid health care. So you take gross pay, you don't get to add, unlike the PPP where you can add in state taxes, it's just gross pay plus employer portion of health care if it's offered. So this becomes quite substantial. Especially if you've got a high head count. I mean, I don't care what your head count is. I don't care if you have 2 people, 3 people. Okay, the amount of money you can start to put aside is quite substantial from this program. It adds up very, very quickly. And especially in 2021 where it's per quarter, And many of the northern states are going to remain under some form of restriction for the foreseeable future that are going to restrict retail and restaurants. So these industries are the most able to take advantage. Restaurants and retail are able to take advantage of this at the highest level. This blessing on your business. Okay, it truly is a blessing on your business to be able to get this and build back better. This is going to allow you to be stronger and have your company be stronger coming out of this. So where you're able to get it in both quarters, whether they'll extend it beyond the half year, this is guaranteed for the first 2 quarters. The legislation's already there. It's already inked. Whether it will extend beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I really, anyone's guess on whether Biden's 1.9 trillion plan and any other benefits will come of that, but this is huge. Can you give us an example of an employee retention credit? Sure, Molly. So let's say you have an employee, let's call her Susie, okay, working for you, okay, and in 2021, you paid her salary. She earns. I'll even get the calculator to make this more real. Okay, you pay her, Molly, $2,833 a month. Okay, that's how much she earns working for you, which works out to $8,500 a quarter. Okay, in the quarter, okay, in a quarter that you did not use PPP funds, so it's just straight, the entire amount was paid out of your checking account. Okay, you didn't pay any part of that. Well, let's play with it. I'll do it 2 ways for you, Molly. I'm going to do it one way first, where none of this got paid with PPP money. So you paid her $8,500 over the first quarter of 2021, and none of that got paid with PPP money. Okay, and you're in a state with restrictions, which I believe Colorado is a state with restrictions, that you have restrictions on your operation and occupancy. Okay, at $8,500, you would be eligible in 2021 for a credit of $5,950 on that one employee. On that one employee, you would be able to apply for a credit. And credit equals cash. Credit is a tax term, but it is cash. The government would send you $5,950 for that person's payroll. Okay. If, on the other hand, so that's one example. That's example number 1. Okay. Let's take that same employee who earned $8,500 in the quarter, but let's say $5,000 of that got paid with the PPP. You used your PPP to pay $5,000 of that. That would leave you $8,500 minus $5,000, $3,500, okay, that you paid with non-PPP money, that you paid with your money, okay? It wasn't PPP money, it was your money, okay? It was the company's money. And in that case, again, assuming that you qualify for the credit because you are under government restriction or you've had a big enough drop in sales, that $3,500 in 2021, the government would send you $2,450 back on. Okay, so there's 2 examples. One with the PPP, if you had used the PPP to pay part of that salary, and the other if it was just straight the employee retention tax credit. Okay, and this adds up quickly because it's all employees are eligible. Okay, it's per employee. Okay, but it maxes out. Okay, at $10,000 in 2021, it maxes out on $10,000 in earnings per quarter, whereas in 2020 it was for the whole year. That $10,000 was from April through the end of the year. So this is money that adds up very quickly, regardless of your head count. I mean, you'd be happy with a couple $1,000s from the government. You'd be happy with $5,000. When you add that up over several employees, if you are eligible, that becomes significant. And the government will send you that money expeditiously. Because again, the whole idea behind this is to keep employees tied to you. Okay? Keep employees tied to your business. Non-unemployment, okay? So even if you're slow, okay, even if you're not seeing the sales that you saw in 2019, okay, the idea is to keep employees connected to an employer, because everybody's success, the success of the business, the success of the employee, the success of your community is better when the employee is still attached to a company and not on long-term unemployment. That is better for everybody. The government and economists know this, so that is why this program exists. That is why the PPP exists. That's why they've allowed, because this has gone on so much longer than anybody thought it would, that is why they've allowed you to take advantage of both programs. You just cannot duplicate benefits. So that is the real trick in all this. The real trick is sitting with the calendar, sitting with your checkbook, and making sure that you minimize the amount of time that your PPP gets used so that you can maximize the amount of time that the employee retention tax credit is used. So you want to use your PPP in the shortest time possible so that you have the maximum amount of time with the employee retention tax credit. That is the real magic. And you can, as long as you have not gone for forgiveness on your first PPP, you can go back and recalculate how you think you spent that first PPP and take into account all allowable expenses, all of the expenses that are now allowed under it, and to hit those thresholds. So it is a blessing on your business. Okay, it is a blessing. It is the government trying to do some good here. Okay, all the way around. Keep you in business. Keep your employees connected to your business. Keep your community healthy. This is really good. Okay, it is complicated as all heck. I know that. Okay, I know that how complicated this is. Okay, that's why I've gone over it, and I will continue to go over it. Kitty's asking if we can use our PPP payroll in 7 weeks, can we file for the ERTC on the rest? Yes, but you can't file for forgiveness on your PPP till after to allow for an 8-week period, but it doesn't have to be 8 weeks of payroll. You could pay a utility bill in week 8. Okay, you could have used the payroll portion, hit your 62 to 65% in 7 weeks, Kitty, and then paid a utility bill or a rent payment in week 8. Okay, because the PPP legislative period is 8 weeks, but you can, as long as you didn't use payroll on week 8, in your example where you used it for payroll in the first 7 weeks, on week 8 you could be using that for the employee retention tax credit. Linda, we have the form available at narts.org/resalestrong. narts.org/resalestrong. I have a worksheet for you there. We have the 7200 form, which is where you request the credit by quarter. I have a worksheet there for you to fill out to calculate the credit by quarter for 2020. I haven't done a new worksheet for 2021. I can do another worksheet for 2021. I really want you to get the money from 2020 first. And then you can use Form 7200 that is available at narts.org/resalestrong to get the money back from the IRS. And they will expeditiously get that out to you. Okay? They know how important these are. I mean, it's silly. You have to fax the form. I'll give you that. You have to fax the form. This is old technology, but, let whatever gets you the money. Okay, I'll go find a fax. If that gets me the money, I'll find a fax. Oh, Resale Strong Docs. I didn't realize we had the... Adele, you're just way ahead of me. Resale Strong Docs is its own URL now. So, I mean, you don't even... We have so much information that Adele has kept up there collated. It's amazing. Okay? It is amazing all that we've had, over these 46 weeks. But I will keep on talking about this because I know how confusing it is, okay? I totally get how confusing it is. I really do, and I understand that, and that not a lot of people, like you could go have coffee with 10 other people in business. You could be on a chamber meeting, and people would not understand this, and it is very confusing. Yes, you can send in multiple 7200 forms during the quarter. You can actually send in multiple 7200 forms during the quarter. Julie, I hope your accountant does too. You have a good accountant, but a lot of them have been very confused by it. Okay, a lot of them have been very confused, and a lot of them, their software has not updated yet. Okay, so the ones that are getting it are doing it manually because their software hasn't updated to handle it if you got a PPP. So it is confusing. It's very, very confusing. Yeah, I was there, Rick, in the original. I mean, you can go back and watch videos in May where I said use it all on payroll. Until the new rules came out, Rick, I was there. Spend it all on payroll. That's what it was. Therefore, but the rules changed, and it is absolutely to your benefit not to do that. It is absolutely to your benefit not to do that, especially where South Carolina closed late. I mean, South Carolina was one of the last states to do any close downs and was one of the first states to reopen. But, the restrictions and everything. So you want to maximize all of this. And that's what gets you to the other side. This isn't taking anything that you're not entitled to. This isn't playing any games with anything. I want you to do it. I mean, I talked to one accountant. I was working with a restaurant, and I was talking to their accountant, and he wanted them to use the 24-week period. Why wouldn't you use the 24-week period? I'm like, because he spent the payroll, and in 8 or 9 weeks, he spent his whole PPP, and he can take advantage of the credit because he's under huge restrictions being a restaurant. Huge restrictions. So, a lot of them, there's a lot of misunderstanding. I have been living this. I've been a student of this, but I want you to maximize it. Wow, you're his only customer with a PPP. I mean, it is confusing. That's why I keep on talking about it. I keep on talking about it because over there, I keep on answering all your questions, okay, that come into me overnight. And during the day, I sit and I take your questions and I answer them all. Okay, and that's what writes this show each night. Okay, is what I'm doing. But I want you to but that's where the PPP timeline really matters. Okay, so that you can keep your PPP usage as small as possible so you can maximize the credit next to it. Hey, Marianne is with us. Great to have you here. When did you sneak in? When did you sneak in? Doctoring up my bookshelf back here. Doctoring that up. Photoshopping me. So it is incredibly important to minimize your PPP timeline, maximize your employee retention tax credit. That is the name of the game here. And if you have any questions on doing it, if you're not sure what is included, hey, Ellen's here. Good to have you here, Ellen. You know, where you are in your timeline, you know, before you file for forgiveness, check in with me. I'm happy to do it with you. I had to completely change what was in my file. I redid my plan. If you go back to what I thought I was doing back in May and June, and my intended spend of the PPP versus my intended spend under the new rules, they're different. They are completely different. They changed it to make it better for you. Okay, you are not you are not cheating anything. Yes, I was burned. Oh, I love hearing your employees are shopping between stores. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But that is where we're at, people. That is the real key. Shorten up your PPP spend timeline. Extend when you can collect the employee retention tax credit. It is huge, and most everybody can collect it for at least a period of time. Many of you can collect it for some part of a quarter or something, at least 1 quarter, which is still huge. If you can collect it for 1 quarter, that's still huge. Okay? Still big. Still. And, you know, every employee counts. The kid who worked for you for 3 weeks and then quit still counts. The kid that worked for you for 4 weeks and you fired still counts. Okay? All of that still counts towards it. I mean, I have one on mine. And where's my credit? Hang on a second here. I'll give you one of mine. Let me find my glasses here. All right. Let me see. What's the lowest that I got on anyone? Okay, if I dropped $40, would you pick it up? I bet you my peanut gallery, if I dropped $40, would pick it up. Do I have $40 to? If I dropped $40 on the ground, would you pick it up? If you saw $40 on the ground, would you pick it up? Yes, one of my employees, my employee retention tax credit was $42.06. $42.06. You know, another one was $64.54. You know, but there's some of those that are real money. You know, I mean, that's, you know, 2 employees, that's $100. $100. Yeah, you're darn right you would. You're darn right you would, and I would too. Okay? That is real money, people. It is real money. It is these $20 and $60 and $100, and then that becomes $1,000 and $2,000. You know, this adds up. This adds up, okay? And it is you are entitled to it. You are eligible for it. If you are eligible for it, you should take it. We will continue. I promise you to continue to talk about this because you people keep on sending me questions. I don't believe there is an actual deadline for going back on the 2020. It may be June, Sylvia, but I'll double check that. I'll double check if there's a deadline on it. It is a generous deadline. Whatever it is, it's a generous deadline. It's not like you have to get this done tomorrow, which is why I've been encouraging you to get your PPP done first. I really didn't want to confuse the PPP with this. Okay, I wanted the PPP out of the way, or at least your applications for second PPPs in if you were eligible, or first PPPs if you never got a first PPP. Okay, but this credit is real money. Real money, people. And we will continue to talk about it. But PPP spend timeline short so that you can maximize employee retention tax credit. Hang on a second, Dane. I got to see what you're saying. Dane is asking, so as long as we paid other things that qualify for payback from the PPP, even though it was not paid from the account that the PPP went into, we can now go back and count it if that works better. That is absolutely correct. You can count anything that your business paid, okay? You can't go and say, hey, Jeff's slush fund and Jeff's secret bank account, personal bank account did it, but anything that the business paid for that falls into an eligible category counts now, and you should use it to use up the 40% that you can use of your PPP for non-payroll things and shorten it. As long as you haven't applied for forgiveness, that is fair game. That is absolutely fair game. And if there's any question, anything that you're unsure of, just reach out to me. I haven't seen a February. I'll double check it, Sylvia. I'll double check it, but as far as I know, there is not that, because you got to keep in mind the legislation just was signed on December 27th that made this possible. This was just signed on December 27th. So I don't see that being a February deadline. That is correct, Kelly. 60 to 65% must be for payroll. We will continue to talk about this. I will continue to answer questions about it. This is not, because this is wicked confusing. Wicked confusing. I know that. Okay? I know that. I've got it down, but I know that it is wicked confusing. So, well, because Molly, if I keep on saying as long as you haven't applied for PPP forgiveness, because when you apply for PPP forgiveness, it locks you into the timeline that you used it, and you have to list what you spent on payroll as a dollar figure and what you spent on other expenses. So if you've already applied, you can't necessarily redo it, okay? If you've already applied for forgiveness. That is the caveat with applying for forgiveness. Besides the fact that forgiveness with the new form is much, much easier. But you still have to list on that form how much you spent on payroll of your PPP and how much you spend on other expenses. So I want you to have those in this folder that I keep on talking about, okay? This folder that you're going to keep of all your paperwork. I want you to have those things that match up with those numbers in that folder. Okay, and if there's any question on it, I want to be able to get you to the right spot with it before you apply for forgiveness. And most banks aren't set up for the new form electronically yet. They should be shortly, but the new form's only been out a week. It'll be out a week tomorrow or something is when I got the new form. So most banks aren't ready for it yet. But we'll get there. We'll get there. But a good question, Molly. So that's a fair question. I'll continue to talk about this. You can rewatch this video. You know what to do. All this stuff goes over to nerds.org/resalestrong by noon the very next day. All the files, all the forms are over at nerds.org/resalestrong, including a direct link to these videos and the YouTube channel. You're not alone running this store, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when a new one drops. I am here live in the NARS private Facebook group every night at more 8 than ish. More 8 than ish. Who could ask for more? If you have a question in between, you just email me, Neil, Neil at ECIstores.com, Neil at ECIstores.com. No, Kitty, you're good. You're good on that. 66. We start this program every night, with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book is how we start this program every night. Tonight in the Good Morning, Good Night book, we're on page 112. Good morning, rise and shine, or rise and sulk, rise and weep, or rise and roar. But rise. Our good night tonight is good night. Rest and relax, or rest and rejoice. Rest and rejuvenate. Rest and redouble your efforts, but rest. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party. A wedding, a bar mitzvah even. A winter seminar social? Somebody calling for one of those? It's going to be virtual, but I'll be there. Yes, have you registered yet? Have you? You better. I'm watching you. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be back here tomorrow night at more 8 than ish. But until then, know that you, and most importantly you, yes you, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.